So these are the example of rational expression. A rational expression or algebraic expression in fraction form. So, meron tayong polynomial sa numerator and denominator na kung saan the denominator must not be equal to zero because if that will happen, our rational expression will become undefined. Kasi nga, kapag over zero, undefined. But of course, the numerator must not be equal to zero also. Okay? But on this case, ang concern natin is the denominator. And I will be showing you to find for the restriction. So, sa paghanap ng restriction, we will be focusing on the denominator. Kasi nga yung denominator yung hindi pwede maging zero so that it will not be undefined. And then we will also identify what is the domain of this rational expression. So, syempre, bago natin ma-identify yung domain, identify muna natin yung restriction. So, paano ba maghanap ng restriction? Una is, you need to factor the denominator if possible. So, dito muna tayo mag-focus sa ating first example. So, hindi na factorable si y minus 4. So, pag hindi na factorable, we will be we will equal this with 0. So, y minus 4 is equals to 0. And then, hahanapin nyo yung value for that variable. So, since this lesson is for my grade 8 student, let's apply the addition property of equality na kung saan ay what you do on left side, you will do on right side. So, para mawala itong si negative 4 sa side na yan, mag-a-add ako ng 4. At dahil nag-add ako ng 4 dito sa side na to, mag-a-add din ako ng 4 sa right side ko. So, negative 4 plus 4 will become 0. So, I have y is equals to 0 plus 4 is 4. So, ito yung value ng variable. Bakit yan na yung final? Kasi wala namang kasamang number si variable. So that will be the final answer. So we could say that the domain muna. So this is already the restriction. Okay. And then yung domain is dapat naka-open brace. So remember this on grade 7 sa sets. So all real numbers. So I just use symbol for real numbers. Ito yung symbol for real numbers na ginagamit ko, and sa pagkakaalala ko ito naman ang real number for symbol. And then let's just, sorry, wala akong space. Okay, so let's have except, and then yung restriction. Or you could put the word number, except number 4. So yeah. So that is our first example. Again, restriction is yung nakuha nating value, and then the domain is all real numbers except number 4. Okay, let's have this example. I just deleted or erased yung nauna kong given. So let's look on the denominator in finding the restriction. So check muna natin factorable ba si 4x minus 12, and factorable to by GCF, and the GCF is 4. And then ang matitira, so 4x divided 4 is x. Then negative 12 divided 4 is negative 3. And then, kapag na-factor nyo na, yung merong variable na kasama, yun yung i-equal natin sa 0. So, just like yung ginawa sa unang example. So, we have x minus 3 is equals to 0. Let's apply the addition property of equality na kung saan ay kailangan natin, para ma-eliminate to or maging 0 to, mag-add tayo ng, mag-additive inverse tayo. So, dahil negative 3 yan, mag-plus 3 tayo on both sides. So, that's the application of APE. Then, so negative 3 plus 3 magiging 0. So, x is equals to 0 plus 3 is 3. So, which means, ito na po yung restriction. And, identify na natin yung domain. Sorry, sa sulat ko. Okay, so, all real numbers, except if you would like to put the word number. 3. Okay, let's have another rational expression. So let's find for the restriction for this. So again, let's find for the factor of our denominator. So dahil wala pa sa lesson ng simplifying rational expression, hindi ko muna ipapakita yung pag-simplify ng rational expression, which is pwede naman sana. Pero let's focus on finding the restriction. So sabi nga, check kung factorable yung denominator. So m squared minus 7n plus 10. This is by trial and error, pero mas madali kasi yung dulo lang i-factor natin to get the sum on the middle. So ano do factor ni 10, that will give us the sum of negative 7. Definitely that will be negative 5 and negative 2. Kasi negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10, and negative 5 plus negative 2 will give us negative 7. So factor, sulat lang natin in factored form. So m minus 5 and m minus 2. Okay? And then, para sure kayo, i-full nyo or i-tile or i-vertical method. And then, dahil pareho, di ba, may variable dito, may variable dito. So, ibig sabihin pareho natin i-equal sa 0 para mahanap yung value for m. So, m minus 5 is equals to 0. And then the other one is m is equals, m, okay, m minus 2 is equals to 0. Okay, the other way of the application of APE, doon sa naunang example, APE, dalawang example, APE yung in-apply ko, I will just show you the shortcut. Transpose tayo. Transpose means you will transfer to the other side. And remember that when you transpose, ay magcha-change yung sign. Parang APE din. Kasi you add both sides or you subtract both sides. Para ma-eliminate yung nasa kabila and then para mapunta naman siya sa kabila. So this is the shortcut dual transpose that remember. But remember, change the sign as you or when you transpose. Okay? So, dahil ita-transpose natin to from -5, magiging +5. At dahil ang positive hindi naman sinusulat yung sign, so pwede na nating burahin yun. Okay? And then same way with this is magiging +2. Okay? O, pakita ko yung, tandaan nyo to ha, pakita ko yung APE process. Hindi natin i-apply yung transposition na sinasabi ko. Na gusto ko lang ipakita na that is the same. So, APE is para ma-eliminate to, we will be add or subtract on both sides. At bakit tayo mag-add kasi -2? So, additive inverse. Ano yung kapaligtaran ng -2? +2. Kaya mag-add tayo ng +2. Okay, so -2 plus 2, maging 0 yan. So, m na lang yan. And then 0 plus 2. So, yun yun. Yun din yung kapag nag-transpose, diba? From -2, pag transpose natin, magiging +2. Okay, ma'am, paano isusulat? Or, paano i-identify? So, these two are already the restriction. Sorry. Okay, so these two are already the restriction. So, how to identify the domain? Dahil dalawa yung domain natin, isang way pa rin naman ang writing, but this time madadagdagan na. So, all real number except if you would like to write the word numbers, isulat nyo, but pwede na rin mga 5 and 2. And don't forget the close brace. So, these are the restriction and this is your domain. Okay, so last example in rational expression, finding the restriction and domain. So let's have our denominator. Yung denominator natin, hindi na factorable. Pag factor natin 2 times x lang. So we will just be equaling it with, what happened to my map? Okay, with 0. And then, wala naman tayong i-transpose or i-add or subtract both sides kasi variable x na lang ang meron tayo with the numerical coefficient 2. And then, para mahanap yung value ng ating variable is, we will be multiplying both sides by the reciprocal ng kasamang number ni variable if you will be doing the multiplication property of equality. Pero ako ang ginagawa ko is I will be dividing both sides. So kung ano yung kasamang number ng variable na hinahanap natin or hinahanapan natin ng value, let's divide that both sides. Okay? So let's divide 2 magiging 1. X na lang yung, we are not writing 1x. So let's divide 0 divide by 2 is 0. Kahit hatiin mo yan ng ilang beses, that is still 0. Okay, so this is the value or this is the restriction. So we could say that the domain is all real number except 0. So that's all for the finding the restriction and the domain.